Hi everyone, this is Fatima Aniston. Welcome to Ekam IAS. Our today's topic is the Private Members Bill. The opposition members protested regarding the introduction of a private member bill in Rajya Sabha regarding the repeal of Places of Worship Act of 1991. So that makes us to look into what is private member bill. The two things that you have to study are the private member bill and the Places of Worship Act of 1991. Since we have already covered the Places of Worship Act of 1991, our today's focus will be on the private member bill. And UPSC have already asked a question regarding private member bill. So let's see regarding private member bill in detail. So generally there are two kinds of bill, public bill and private bill. The public bill, it is also known as the government bill, and the private bill is also known as the private member bill. From the term itself, you can understand that the public bill will be introduced by the government, whereas the private bill will be introduced by the private members. So who is a private member? Any member of parliament who is not a minister is known as a private member. We know that in our parliament there are ministers as well as MPs who are not ministers, and the MPs who are not ministers are called the private members, and the bill introduced by these private members are called private members bill. The idea of a private member bill is to bring the government's attention to a particular issue that an MP thinks that a legal framework is required. So that is what is the intention of a private member bill. A private member bill can be introduced by a private member from ruling party as well as from the opposition party. The procedure of passage of a private member bill is same as the procedure for the passage of government bill. And most probably the private member bills are introduced and discussed on Fridays. So if you have seen the news, see, it was introduced on Friday. So these are the small things that you might miss. But it is also, again, it is not that much important. But since it is usually introduced and discussed on Fridays. And another important point that you have to keep in mind, very, very important, that the president can use absolute veto on private members bill. Absolute veto means that the president can withhold his or her assent to a bill, which means that that bill will not become an act. So that is what is absolute veto. And the president can use this veto right on a private member's bill. He or she can't use this absolute veto on a government bill. So you have to keep in mind regarding the absolute veto, and it is applicable to the private member's bill. So there was a previous year question asked by UPSC regarding the passage of private member bill, and it says that no private bill has been passed so far in the parliament. So regarding that, so there were 14 bills were introduced in parliament by private members, and out of which 5 bills were passed in the parliament, and the latest one was the Supreme Court Enlargement of Criminal Appellate Jurisdiction Bill 1968, and the bill was passed in 1970. So that was the last time in which a private member bill was passed in the parliament. Now let's see the comparison between a private member bill as well as the government bill. So one difference that we have seen, that is a government bill will be introduced by a minister, whereas the private member bill will be introduced by a member of parliament who is not a minister, or a member of parliament who is other than a minister. And most probably the government bill will contains the government policies, whereas in a private member bill it contains the stand of an opposition party. Most probably we know that a private member bill can be from ruling party as well as from the opposition party, and in most cases it will be from the opposition party, and it shows their demands regarding a public issue. Okay, so that was the another difference. Then since the government bill is introduced by the government, and since it is government, they have the majority in the parliament, and the chances of getting approved of a government bill are higher. And in case of a private member bill, the chances of getting approval of that particular bill are lesser compared to the government bills. And if any particular government bills got rejected, it shows that they lack confidence in the house, and it can lead to the resignation of that particular government. And in case of private member bill, there is no such implication. If that private member bill is not passed, then there is no particular issues associated with that. And in case of government bill, before introducing in the house, it has to notify before 7 days. And in case of the private member bill, it is 1 month notice time is required before introducing in the parliament. The government bill will be drafted by the department concerned in consultation with the law department. Whereas in case of private members, the individual members concerned will draft that particular law. The drafting of the bill is the responsibility of that particular member concerned. So these are the major difference between a government bill and a private member bill. One, it will be introduced by a minister, whereas it will be in case of private member bill, it will be introduced by a member who is not a minister. And in a government bill, it reflects the government policies, whereas in a private member bill, it reflects the opposition stand on a particular public matter. And in case of a government bill, the chances of getting passed in the parliament are higher, whereas in case of a private member bill, the chances are less. And if a government bill got rejected in the house, it shows their lack of confidence in the house, which may lead to their resignation if a no confidence motion is passed in the parliament. Okay, whereas in case of private member bill, no such implications are there. And for the introduction of a government bill, it requires a 7 days notice, whereas in case of private member bill, it requires a 1 month notice. The government bill will be drafted by the concerned department in consultation with the law department, whereas the drafting of the bill in the private members are the responsibility of that particular member concerned. And another difference that you can add to this point is that regarding the absolute veto used by the president in case of private member bill. In case of private member bill, the president can use absolute veto, but it is not applicable for the government bill. So that is another additional difference that you can add regarding government bill and private bill. Since the news has mentioned regarding the Places of Worship Act of 1991, it states that all the places of worship which were in India when we got independence, that is on August 15, 1947, what were its religious character, it will remain the same. And this act exempt the Babri Masjid versus Ram Janmabhoomi dispute out of this particular act. Since we have discussed about this act in detail in our previous videos, I am not gonna discuss in this video. So the link to that particular video will be given in the description. Please go and check that. So that is regarding our today's video. Now let's see the model question. So try to find the answer and write the answer in the comment section below. The answer, the explanation as well as the detailed material will be provided in our Telegram channel. The link will also be given in the description below. And if you find this video helpful, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching.